Miss Universe podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Miss Universe podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Miss Universe podcast.
Hello and welcome to Emma's podcast. Yes, this is our Friday talk. Yay! Yippee-ki-yay. Sorry. Oh my goodness gracious. I have no idea. I think it's the full moon. I'm recording the day of the full moon. And it's like, holy crapola, seriously. Oh, it has been a long week here. And I know that with what's going on here, what's going on in this world, we are trying to, try to be able to get to where we need to be in a positive way. Oh, and now I'm watching the My Pizzero. Oh my God, it's interesting. Yeah, they're making pizza. This week is like two of my episodes. I don't know why I put it on TikTok. Well, I do know because we are still in October. You're listening this in November, but I am recording it and I've been forwarding into Instagram some of the stuff for what is needed on the East Coast for Hurricane Helene. So I've been, the first one was Felipe and his cakes, which, you know what, it turned pretty good because the cake, I don't know what was the buttercream at the center, but it was a very thick one. I always said about 3 inches buttercream between the two slices of the cake. It's a round cake, and the outer, that was the first thing I saw. So I think he had one more layer at least, but the outer was beautiful because it looks like strawberry. It was like kind of a pink one, and he did roses on the top, so that looks pretty good. Now the other one, so for the Wednesday, the one you just listened, oh my God, it was a 2 tiers, and it was a full cake, 2 tiers, and the roses, as I described them, were absolutely amazing. I don't know, I have a little sweet, I don't know why I have a sweet tooth right now. I have no idea. I know I'm not pregnant, people, but but I have a sweet tooth, and I'm looking at the cake, and now it's pizza. You know the problem with pizza with me? I'm going to share something. This is Friday, people, so be used to it. My issue with the pizza is I don't eat only one slice. I could eat the entire box, literally. I have no idea why. I'm like, I'm hungry, but I'm not hungry, but I'm going to eat it. Anywho, but now I'm looking at this gentleman who's making a very nice pizza, actually, very very nice, with his red sauce, because he don't say tomato sauce, but he said, because we said in Europe, sorry people, we say tomato sauce, we don't say red sauce, but it's very very interesting. So they're making it, and there is a nice line of people waiting for their orders. Ooh, this is nice. So I'm going to switch because I wanted to see if I can go back to the cakes. I'm loving cakes. I know. Oh my goodness gracious. It's nice to once in a while to have a good laugh, but speak per experience as well. So I'm very happy I do share some of the experience that I had in regard of work and looking at leadership and looking at the experience I have gone through out the years and passed it on and share it, because there is always somebody who's going to hear something similar to where the situations are and understand you're not alone. You're never alone on this one. But it's very nice to be able to really empower others and share, because I like when we share good stories like that, understanding, especially leadership, because my issue with leadership is how do you behave with your own self, but how does it reflect and how do you present yourself to the rest of the world. When I was younger, I got a bigger attitude. I think I still have my attitude, but the attitude here, I got some watered into the wine, to my wine, meaning getting things in a different perspective, even seeing stuff in a way that would maybe trigger me and doesn't anymore. Being able to understand that people are different, I would say, level in their life and in their evolutions, in their evolution of wisdom and understanding of life. So it doesn't give them excuses on behaviors, but he gives a better understanding that sometimes we get triggers or not when we're looking at things that happens that might have been a trigger a long time ago and that is not a trigger anymore, and being able to really take some step back and realize how we are and were able to pass those quote unquote tests. However, continue to bring the awareness on leadership and how we conduct ourselves is, I think, something that is extremely essential. As I said, there is no excuses on some people's behavior, regardless of what triggered them, regardless of what they think or don't think they should or should not do. It is to me something that is, oh, well, that's interesting. Precious making some cake board. Oh, he's making cake board because it looks weird. Sorry, I'm just I'm looking at it and I'm like, what is going on here? Oh, that was weird. So, understanding the behaviors and really understanding that people can learn from others, continue to educating ourselves, continue to grow. It's being curious, looking at where we go, observing. I'm amazed. I had another walk. Well, we got a couple of walk I do with the pups today. Yes, I decided not to run around, but it's amazing to see how we can be helpful to each others and really looking at what can we do to help somebody that needs their eyes open. When I'm looking at some of the stuff that I have seen from others, especially some behavior, then I found it absolutely appalling because of triggers they have. Because even at, and I'm talking adulthood, and I'm talking people over 50, acting the way they're acting made me questions of what is your intent, what are your intentions every time you're acting up, every time you decide to destroy something, every time you decide that you're gonna challenge somebody, where instead of working together you're gonna work against them. It doesn't help. People don't realize when you, and for companies and even in life, actually everywhere, it touches professional and personal lives. Every time you do something that is detrimental to someone, you're not helping at all. When you're looking at companies, you get people, and I've seen it, and that happens to me because I share some of stuff that happens to me because of some individuals. How can we say that? Insecurity, not giving the proper information, so they try to make you look bad. But what they don't realize is you're not helping the company, you're not helping the people. You become the grain of salt. Nobody wants your job. I don't want your job. Maybe some do, but I don't personally want your job. What I'm looking at is how can I help a business to grow? How can I help and support a team? If you're that insecure, then you need to really have a different, open your eyes and look at that the perspective you have is erroneous, is incorrect. You are a key component. It's like a very well-oiled machine. Then all of a sudden, instead then being running perfectly, it start to run on chaos. Somebody start to put grain of salt, of sand into it. So at the beginning, you're not gonna see it, you're not gonna feel it. Then after a while, that very well-oiled machine is gonna start to slow down. A lot of people don't understand that. I don't care if you like that person or not. If you have to work together, you suck it up. Somebody said to me, you suck it up. You need to shut your mouth, suck it up, and do it. Do the work. That was a long time ago, actually. Was a good way to say that, too. It doesn't matter if you like that person or not, because at the end of the day, you're the one who's going to create the chaos. How can you work in an environment you're creating chaos? Because what you're doing have a repercussion on your sales, on your product, on everything you're doing. If you want to sunk a company, please go ahead. Make everybody else's life miserable, go ahead. Remember, I talked about karma. Karma is a biatch because karma will come sooner or later, sooner than later right now. But you have to look at your behavior. If you don't like something, if you don't like somebody, then maybe it's time for you to move on. Maybe it's a trigger to let you know you're done where you are. It's time for you to move on. Also, people are way too comfortable in their lives. We want our own little habits. We want our own world. We want this, we want that. That's fine. But you're going to realize that there is an evolution too. So let's say you're working in an environment where you're supporting a team. Then somebody come along and start to automate what you're doing. Most people will react thinking, I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to put my claws in there and hang in there to dear life. When in fact, you're creating a problem. What you don't realize, the automation is going to give you the opportunity to do something else. When I worked in corporate, I loved the automation. I came somewhere, I said, we're going to automate this so I don't have to do it. It will be simple, easy to do, so I can do something else. When you start to think this way, then in people coming here, you are more acceptable and prone for the changes than if you are stuck where you are thinking my way or the highway. Well, it's going to end up to be the highway because guess what? You are just a piece on that chessboard. So you have to keep yourself open to the changes. And that's what I think the hardest part. And it doesn't matter if it's a paid job, if it's volunteer. You have to understand what leads you. Is it your ego? What is your intention? What exactly thrive you? Do you want to be known around and you want people to realize you're bigger than everybody else's? What is your freaking intentions? When you're capable to honestly answer that question, then that put everything into perspectives. I have been challenged by individuals who saw a little bit of something different. More independent, standing their ground, self-starters, can do a lot of things. This can be intimidating for people who are insecure. Being able and comfortable with people, being flexible, somebody that moves very quickly, can see things changing and shifting in the needs. So when you got people who are not at the same level than you are, because we're all at different levels, it's not I'm superior than you are, my evolution is different than your evolutions. That's what it's all about. You have to recognize the red flag. You have to understand you're there for them to light where the shadows are, their insecurity. This is their test. There is repercussion on you, no matter what. But at the end of the day, it's their test on how they're behaving. That is challenging. Because at the end of the day, it's kind of even, it's not even challenging, it's tiring to deal with people like that. It's like, I just want to be on a mountain all alone. Leave me alone because I don't have time for these kind of things. But people have to understand things are always shifting and evolving. You're always going to have somebody around you who is different, but is here to show you something. And have the possibility to open your eyes and not feeling threatened by this individual, but learn from that person. We all learn from each other. We learn from our life, from our experiences. But we have to be open for it too. That is the most challenging part of it. So when you really think about what can you do to help and be in a position of leadership for your life, leadership for your actions. Even Lulu is like, "Wah." That's what I'm hearing from my boy. This one makes noise. The baby one, the baby, like I call him. I got my big baby, which is my kakai, who's sleeping. And you got the baby staring at me now. He's like, "You just woke me up, lady." And I got my dada. My dada is near me. My dada. I love my girl. She's a sweetheart. She is a sweetheart. Gorgeous and a sweetheart and stubborn like hell. But when you got, you have that opportunity to learn something from someone, take that opportunity. And maybe it's not pleasant, but it really opens the door to become more flexible. Learning from others, I have done that. And through my life, I have learned from everybody. That's why that's what the knowledge that I have, I acquired it because I am curious. I like to learn. I love to learn from people. And if you take the time, people will teach you. I have people that I remember when I was in corporate, the most grumpiest one ever. I love those guys. I'm like the crazy one. And everybody was scared of them. It's like, oh my God, that person. I'm like, I got along very well with those guys. But it's learning what they do. What do you do? Putting the pieces together. We're not a bunch of lambs. We're here to learn and evolve. How can you learn and evolve if you don't learn from others? Now, I don't have to agree. I don't have to agree with you on the way you do things. I can agree. We can agree to disagree. I'm fine with that. People think it's not what it should be, and I'm like, I can agree to disagree. I don't have to be in a state of anger to try to push my own thoughts and my own ways down your throat, and vice versa. But learning a little bit, learning from everybody and saying to ourselves, okay, I don't agree with that, but I learned something new. I learned a new perspective. And maybe there is something in there that I can utilize or not. But at least I understand where the person come from. That's what I always done in the past, is understanding why someone's behaved this way or why is their viewpoint, so I can understand, because that's what it makes it harder, is when you don't understand their viewpoint and said, okay, I'm working on a project and you like to go this way, this way, this way. No, I have my own way. Now, I will listen. But again, I got the processes, years of processes behind my belt. Even when I was a kid, I was very well organized. So for me, it's like, okay, I can, and I always settle the chaos down to 20% instead than 90% of chaos. But it's the way that people do things. You can plant a seed. Like I always said to people, when I go into meetings, I will throw ideas. And I said to people, I don't care. It's not a question of my idea is best. I said, no, but brainstorming, coming up with ideas, I stick to the wall or not, but it's a way to find solutions. Being open to those solutions. Now, when you're dealing with individuals who don't know how to run things and they're making things complicated, that gives me a headache. Seriously. And I do work with some of them, and I'm like, good Lord. Their ideas are not what works. They have ideas that doesn't make any sense, but they're making it more complicated. And I'm like, I like to simplify things. Okay? We're not going to, my motto has been, always been, we're not going to Fort Knox. We're not putting gold in there. We need to go from A to B without to go to X, Y, and Z. There is no need for that. So it's working together, not being the grain of salt, and understanding when it's time to leave. Because a lot of people don't understand that. Or some are pissed when they get, they get lay off when the universe is giving them the signs. You are done. You have learned everything you have to learn. You have outgrown your positions. It's time for you to go into a different company. Some people will again hold on to their life and say, no, I'm not, until they're being kicked out. And then they are pissed off. Signs are always around us. We need to be able to read them, and we can agree or don't. There is sometimes I just had to swear at the universe. I say, I know, I'm going to go back over there. It's going to be a sit down and said, am I a potty mouth? And I'm going to say, yes, I am a potty mouth, and you know that. But you have to recognize the sign. It's the same with relationship. It's the same with when you meet people. Then you should be able to read those people. You should listen to your intuition, letting you know that, oh boy, this is not a good one. Most of the time, we're going to ignore it and pay later on along the road when we realize, what the frick was I thinking? Literally. So being open to the transformation, being open to the life we are supposed to be learning, which sometimes it's very hard. We have to be able to be in a position of leadership for our own life. I'm not even talking about work. Leadership starts with our own life. How do we do that? How do we bring ourselves to lead our life to the fullest? The toughest part is the outer conditions. You cannot control them. However, you can control how you react to it, which will make a huge difference. So,
Universe Podcast.
this was our podcast for today. I wish everybody a beautiful weekend. All my love, and we'll talk to you later. Bye now.